there is a thread of thinking in the innovation business that you respond to your customers. You go ask your customers. They'll tell you what you need, you service them. There's a big problem with that. Customers are not paid to be visionary. They're not. They have an immediate need, they want you to solve it, lower the price, increase the quality, get me more cup holders, you're in business. The way in which you need to innovate is you need the input from the customer, but you can't ask them the final question. You can't ask them whether or not this particular innovation or that particular innovation is something they need today. You've got to ask them the questions that allow you to know whether or not you think that innovation is something that they'll respond to when it's ready. And so I find that the best way to innovate, if you're a larger company in particular, and avoid incrementalism, is while you take your customer's input, you are not responsive to your customer's sort of final answer. Instead, you want to pull together as much contextual information as possible to come up with your decision.
Yeah, and it's really a problem because we know that things that we now take for granted, like ATM machines, fail in focus groups. I mean, customers couldn't imagine going to a bank and not dealing with a teller. And of course, now we can't imagine living without them. So making those big leaps are really often really hard for a customer to even imagine.
Well, I think the mobile phone's a very interesting one. In the early, I think maybe late 70s, early 80s, when McCall went to AT&T with their first big brick of a cell phone, and showed AT&T the product, and AT&T looked at it and said, well, that will never work because the quality of service is too bad. In fact, our R&D group is spending all of their time in getting the sound quality to be perfect. And by the way, it was really good. I don't know how many of you remember what it was like to be on a landline with Ma Bell. It was night and day compared to what we're used to today. What they failed to understand was how important convenience was. The customer was willing to give up an awful lot of quality and quality of service for convenience.
Yes, however, I should point out, it's family folklore. When my husband gave me my first cell phone many years ago, I got angry with him. I said, why did you buy this gadget? I'm never going to use this. I don't need it. And he said, just try it for a couple of days. And I have to tell you, 2 days later, you would have had to pry it out of my hands. I had no idea how much I needed it. So, it was a huge reminder to me that often we don't even know what we're going to really be delighted by and find helpful until we actually have it.